I'm a real estate investor. So first and foremost, now, if you ask me, hey, are you a wholesaler? I use wholesaling as a strategy. So I'm thinking fix and flip, wholesale, rentals, or that's about it.
You're a deal maker.
I'm a deal maker.
Know?
So, because if you put yourself as a wholesaler, and I tell my mentees all the time, if you categorize yourself and put yourself in one box, that's all they're going to look at you.
Yeah.
So if you tell them multiple things, they can't just categorize you.
My wife and I, we take trips, vacations, right? And it's like, not every time, but it's almost like a game now in my head, right? It's like, all right, we want to go do this. What can we do to make money that's going to pay for this trip or pay for this luxury, right? And if you have that mindset, you're never going to lose money, right? You're always going to grow. You're always going to, gain assets, and you're never going to be in a financial distress situation, right?
So that's why I'm like trying to just also still always just be a student, not like get in this space of like, okay, well, you making money and you kind of got an idea of what you're doing. So now it's time to just chill. Like now I'm on YouTube every day. I'm reading every day. I'm like listening to other people every day.
Yeah.
Checking in on other people like every day.
Your failure period might be 10 years. So if you start when you're 50, you know what I mean? Just start now, jump into it now. You're going to learn, you're going to make mistakes, but the quicker you start, the sooner you're going to be there, you know? Welcome back to another episode of the Real Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Nick Furman.
And I'm your other host, Anthony Slane.
And today we got Zay Foster with us. Zay, we appreciate you being on, man. It's good to meet you.
Thanks for being on, bro.
I know Anthony was pumped about having you on, and I was excited to meet you. So appreciate you coming in.
Definitely appreciate you.
You're a wholesaler, correct, right? That's primarily what you do. Do you do any fix and flips, rentals, anything like that aside from wholesaling?
I do. It's not my strong suit. I try fix it. Well, I've done like 4 successful fix and flips from start to finish since like I started flipping in like 2020.
Okay.
So I've been wholesaling since 2018, and then I tried flipping in 2020.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Where are you from? I'm from here?
I'm from Cleveland.
Cool.
I grew up in like Cleveland Heights area.
Yeah, and so you started wholesaling in 2018. What were you doing prior? Like, how did you get involved in the
how did you space? Sort of like just take it back a little bit, I guess, and just give us your backstory? How did you get started into real estate?
So it's so funny. Like one of my I call him a brother, like my close friend, Showing. He gave me this book one day. He cut hair, so like he gave me this book that his dad gave to him, and the book was called Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yeah. Great
book. So
everybody
know that book.
Everybody should read that book.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So the book was breaking down like assets and liabilities and all this shit. So I'm like, I've been working my whole life, and like, be honest, I come from a background like my mom was a very entrepreneur spirit. My dad, same thing. Like, but like they didn't have like real estate, they didn't own properties or anything like that. So like I didn't really know anything about real estate. So I'm like, well, I ain't got no money to invest into real estate. I don't know about stocks. So all these different things like I didn't know about. So the book was basically breaking that down. Like, what is an asset? What is a liability? Stuff to put money in your pocket. You can use real estate as an asset, things like that. So I'm like, all right, how the hell I'm gonna buy a house if I ain't got no money? So I'm just like on YouTube, like late night, I'm just like, all right, how do you buy real estate with no money?
Yeah.
I literally typed in YouTube, how you like buy real estate with no money.
And so, what year was this?
This is 2018.
2018. Okay.
2018. So I go get my haircut like literally probably the next couple of days. And my brother, he cutting my hair, and he like, man, you should read this book. And like I read it, and then I'm just like, all right, cool, let's get it. Let's get it. Now that this gave me the fuel, it's like, all right, let's get going. And so I got back onto YouTube. And then like eventually I just started making calls. So it's funny what I do now. So, and then we gonna fast forward to that part, but I'm like a MLS outreach, like what is it? How do you want to call it?
You're locking up deals.
MLS outreach.
MLS outreach.
Yeah. And that's, we'll get to it, but is that all you do?
We'll get to that. So right now, currently, that's like my
that is
bread
crazy.
and butter. That's
I know,
like,
and that's why I was so excited to have this conversation because I've never done a deal like that in my entire career, and I know there's people that do it, and obviously you're one of them. So I'm really excited to ask you questions around that.
Yeah.
And so go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, so like taking it a step back, that's probably not how you started.
So it's funny. I tried to start that way. So like my first like trying to talk to people about properties, I got on the market, and like I was talking to this agent. She had a property in like North Collinwood. We were talking about it, but I didn't realize it was on the market, and I didn't know at that time you couldn't wholesale. So that's very beginning. So I'm like, all right, I got to get away from that. And so then I got to the off market, learning about cold calling, direct mail, text messaging, all those different things. So then I started fully gauging into that, and
Yep.
then started getting some traction with that. And things
Were you
like that.
cold calling yourself? Or did you have other cold callers?
I came into it doing it myself.
What about the texting? Were you texting
Came
yourself?
into it doing
Direct
it myself.
mail? You were
Came into it doing like I was so thirsty, bro. I would like literally go in different neighborhoods and figure out like who owe back taxes.
But you have to do it that way, right? Because
You're
if you do the cold calling and then eventually you want to bring on cold callers, how are you going to tell them how to say, like, you know what I mean? If you've never done it.
Exactly. So I was like, let me get hands on and like, let me figure it out myself. And so like, I was so thirsty that I would literally get a list and like people who owe like $10,000 or more in back taxes, I'm pulling up to their house.
Yeah, that was the filter you were using.
And I'm leaving. Yeah. And I'm leaving like a note on the door, like, hey, call cash buyer, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Call me if you are interested in selling property.
And it worked.
And sometimes it worked. Sometimes it like, they would call me like, someone left a note on my door and I'm just trying to figure out like, is this a scam or?
Yeah. I'd imagine the conversions were like, you were probably for every 100 times you did that, maybe it was a deal.
It was a deal.
But if you hustle and you do it 100 times a week, you're doing 4 deals a month, right?
So,
without a doubt.
100%. So you started cold calling yourself, you started texting and doing all that. Yeah. And then how did that sort of spiral into you taking that MLS approach, right? So I'll let you speak to it.
So, 2018 to 2025. How many years is that?
That's 7 years.
7 years. 7 years, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So in my halfway mark, because I started the MLS outreach strategy back in like 2021, 2022.
Okay.
So like that's when I kind of converted all the way over. And so Jamel Jumanji, a real big time dude out of Phoenix, Arizona. I was up late night, YouTube University again. And so I was just watching his stuff, and he just kept talking about like, agent outreach. Agents can bring you deals. Agents can bring you leads. You can get deals from agents. So you can wholesale MLS deals. And so he was just breaking down the whole process of it. And I'm like, all right, well, I got enough wholesaling under my belt to know the proper, like the fundamentals about it.
Yeah.
So that part is easy. It's just now, so I got to change my game to do this MLS stuff. And so just started trying it. Like I started calling some agents, and what the strategy that I feel like anybody can work. And so like I got a mentorship, and we'll get to that too. But I feel like anybody can use it is like, if you go on Redfin right now and you put in like a filter of properties that's been on the market for 60 days or longer. I don't care where you at in the country. You could be in Cleveland, Atlanta, Dallas, Miami, Houston, wherever, Philly, wherever. I promise you it's like 500, 1,000 listings that pop up.
Right.
And so if you navigate through all these 1,000 listings that's on this source, Redfin, Zillow, I'm sure it is a motivated seller somewhere in these
100%.
in these thousands of people.
Oh yeah, even a property that can't even qualify for financing, right? They need a cash buyer. They need it.
They need it. So I used that, and I just was like, okay, this is like my lane. And so since then, I don't pay $0 for marketing. $0 for any type of lead source, anything. All my deals come from agents.
That's incredible.
Agents call me. I just locked up a deal today. She was with me. Like,
where was the deal?
Locked up a deal on 117th off of Buckeye.
So are a lot of your deals on the east side?
West side, east side,
just all
doesn't
over.
matter. Yeah. Like a lot of my deals come from agents. So I don't have to like do any marketing or anything like that. I get calls every day about new deals that some are good, some are bad.
Yeah. And then you constantly get those referrals too, right? Like you do a successful deal, that agent's calling you back.
For sure.
How did you build up a buyer's list? Like who are you selling these deals to? Is it just like networking? Is it organic relationships?
Yeah. So same thing, back in 2018, Facebook was something that I did not know about. And so all these different like groups, Cleveland off market.
There's a ton of them.
Atlanta off market, Philly off market, like all these different people is plopping into these groups. Some are real buyers, some are agents, some are wholesalers.
Daisy chainers.
There's a bunch of different people. And don't get me wrong, like my very first successful wholesale deal was a JV deal.
Yeah.
I want to go through it real quick, but look, so I got this deal. It was a duplex on Caledonia, coming up Noble in Cleveland Heights. I got the owner to agree to a price. The next day or the day after, whatever, I'm riding down, I don't know what street it is. The We Buy Houses sign was plopped on some pole. Called the number. Hey, I got this property on Caledonia. Like, I'm trying to find a buyer, such and such. Fast forward, he ended up bringing a buyer to the deal.
Right.
We JV, we closed.
I mean, it works.
There's nothing wrong with JV deals. I love them. The problem is when your buyer comes in talking like he's going to close on the property and he's the end buyer. And the next thing you know, it gets the title and you found out, it got assigned and then maybe it got assigned again. And you're like, well, what's going on? You're going back to your guy.
Yeah,
like,
there's
man,
you got to be transparent.
You
when
have
you're
to
doing
be.
it, right?
Yeah.
Because also you can, if you go like under the radar and do it without being transparent, then you get to the closing table, you could still get the deal done. But if you want to keep doing deals together,
exactly,
you know what I mean? You got to be transparent.
Yeah, you have
so
to
it's
be
sustainable. And
so when you lock something up that's under contract, are you having the realtor take it off of Zillow? Because I could imagine some cash buyers might look the property up, they see it's on the market, and that maybe could cause some friction. I don't know if it has or not, but is that for one, is that something that you've seen that it causes friction? And for two, is that something that sort of happens?
If you're a real cash buyer, you don't care.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
If I got a real cash buyer I'm dealing with,
100%.
As long as the numbers make sense.
As long as the numbers make sense.
That's it.
If I'm giving you a property that's in Euclid that's worth 150,000 ARV, that's her retail. You getting it for 50,000. It's on the market for 100,000.
Yeah, you're happy as a clam.
I think
you don't care.
100%. I think people get too caught up in that of like the market exposure and stuff.
For
and
sure.
It's like, hey, if it pencils, it pencils. I don't care.
That's all that matters.
That's all that matters. If I can show you a real contract, myself, my company, Ice Property Group, got this property under contract with this seller at 40,000, and it's on the market for 100,000, and I'm selling it to you for 50,000.
Yeah,
exactly.
How many deals a month on average are you doing?
Right now, I'm roughly like 3 to 6.
Yeah, and you're a one-man show.
And I'm a one-man show.
With zero marketing dollars.
Zero marketing dollars.
Zero marketing.
That's incredible.
I do, because I'm fascinated about his story and I want to hear more about it. But going back to the book of Rich Dad Poor Dad, like it sounds so corny, right? But for the young listeners out there, is like, people ask me where to start, right? Like, hey, I want to get into real estate, or hey, I'm interested in business. The first thing I would say to do is go read Rich Dad Poor Dad, right? There's so many lessons in there. And the one thing I took away from that book that I still take with me today, and it's so powerful, is like always buy an asset before luxuries, right? Buy an asset that's going to pay for the luxury. So if you want a nice watch, go buy an asset to get some passive income that pays for that watch, right? And like, I really do still try to live by that. My wife and I, we take trips, vacations, right? And it's like, not every time, but it's almost like a game now in my head, right? It's like, all right, we want to go do this. What can we do to make money that's going to pay for this trip or pay for this luxury, right? And if you have that mindset, you're never going to lose money, right? You're always going to grow. You're always going to, gain assets, and you're never going to be in a financial distress situation, right?
And I would piggyback off that and say that, because a lot of people get caught up in like, see, wholesaling is man, it changed my life. It's like the amount of money that I make, the things that I'm able to do off of this is crazy.
Right.
But the thing about it is that, like, to your point, it's not an asset. Wholesaling is just a business. So it's like you can make whatever, 500 grand this month, but then if you make 0 grand next month, 0 grand after that, 0 grand after that, then it's like you don't have any real income coming in, versus you using that 500 grand to go buy you an asset that pays you $5,000 every single month. That's a whole different
100%. Wholesaling is your vehicle to make an earned income, right?
Correct.
But you got to flip that earned income to passive income to go pay for these luxuries, right? So when I remember reading that book for the first time, I must have been, 18 years old or something. And I remember like, I just took every page out of that book. Every page was like highlighted and stuff. But that one, lesson, I guess, just always stuck with me. And I'm like, wow, that makes so much sense, right? If like you make 20K on a wholesale deal, right? 20K is cool, but 20K is really only cool if you put it to work and get some passive income off of that, right? Yeah. So I thought, that was awesome, but such a great book, man.
Definitely.
Yeah, 20K doesn't go very far today.
Well, but as an example, right? Like,
shit, you're gonna spend 20K by the time you leave out the door. You don't know where you at.
But even 10, I'm saying is like, you can get leveraged, right? You can go borrow money. Yeah. You can go raise 100K. Maybe you have only 10K, and you go raise 100. You have 10 in it yourself.
Yeah.
There's ways to move 10K,
and people love that.
And then it snowballs. And
people love to see that you got skin in the game of, like you said, raising money. Like they love to see, oh yeah,
for sure,
you got some money to put up too. So.
Yeah, and that's important. So so you said you did a couple flips,
correct?
And this was earlier on.
This was like 2020. I did one. I partnered with a contractor on one, So like we actually like I bought the property, he came in as a partner, and we like did it together. So we were both on the deed. So we did the flip actually together. The other 3 I did by myself.
Gotcha.
So,
and those were all, they went well for you?
they went well. I say I broke even on one, and then the other 3 I actually like did pretty well.
But would you say you prefer to wholesale over flip?
Wholesale all day long.
Why is
Like,
that?
I just feel like, and Wayne, I just talked about Wayne, but Wayne, like he broke down something to me years ago, and he was just like, look at a flip from a standpoint. If your net profit at the end of the day is only 25,000, 20 grand, you could use that same time and do a wholesale deal, assignment fee for 20,000, 25 grand. If it's like one of those deals that's like, is it really worth my time?
Yeah.
I got to go through 6 months to flip this house from buying it, acquisitions, rehab, to reselling it. And then my net profit when I walk away to pay everything, closing costs, realtor fees, everything, is 20,000, 25.
100%.
Do it make sense? Is it worth it? And when you can go use the same property, wholesale it for 20 grand and you out of there in 2 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. And you're exposing yourself to much more risk.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Less moving parts, you know, dealing with contractors, all that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's definitely, it's preferable to me. Like I prefer to wholesale because I can just get in and out. My one thing that I do want to like, and I'm honest, I'm transparent about everything that I do. But one thing I want to really like lock in and focus more on is like acquisitions, like buying rental properties. And things like that. Like that's my next part of my level of life that I'm really want to like in business is like focus on that.
Yeah, you want to grow your wealth.
I want to grow it. You know what I mean? Because it's like I said, the wholesale checks is lovely. Don't get me wrong. Like it's lovely, but it's like I'm thinking like, okay, when you make all this money and it's just sitting here, what's the real point of it? You know what I'm saying? And
you're going to spend it. Looking at it, you're going to spend it.
Oh, for sure. I spend. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. But even that's kind of my point. Even on the flips, you can hit the jackpot with a flip. You make 50K. But 50K is really like, what is 50K unless you're putting it to work, right? And I know 20K, 50K only goes a certain way, but you're doing 3 to 4 deals a month, right? Like then you go roll that money over into some passive income, right? So that's cool, man. I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
Definitely. So as far as like I know you kind of do some mentoring. I've seen you on Instagram kind of doing. What are you exactly doing with that? Like bring us a little closer to that. And like if someone's watching and wants to get in touch with you to maybe work with you and get some help from you, what does that look like?
I just look at mentorship from a standpoint of, I just know it's somebody out there that was like me. Out. Like didn't have an idea of real estate, didn't have a background, didn't have like no type of real understanding of like how this work. And you get so many people. I'm sure you get a lot of people. I'm sure you get a lot of people who like hit you up like, man, teach me the game, or like, how do I supposed to get in the game? Or, so I just like look at it from that standpoint. Like, if you can start here and build your way up, you can get to a place like an Anthony, you know, like yourself, Sal, like these different type of Wayne, these different type of people that are in these higher levels. But just start here. Because I think that once you start here and actually learn, wholesaling for me taught me real estate. Yeah. Like I knew how to buy a flip from wholesale.
It's the best way. We talked about this on another episode. It's the best way to learn real estate because you get to look at deals in the lens of an investor, right? How's an investor going to look at it? And then if they're he's buying this one, he's buying this one. Now you're seeing how they're underwriting them, so you can look at them yourself. As a new beginner in real estate, there's really no better way to learn. But I will say the caveat is, even in real estate in general, but especially wholesaling, you get told no more times than probably any sales job out there. It is difficult. You have to have thick skin and you have to be able to take it because, you know, you can look at it from, you know, someone posts something on TikTok. Oh, I made this much on a wholesale deal. How many times did you have to get told no to get to that? And that's what'll get people, right?
And that's what I explain to people in my mentorship is like, listen, you got to understand, you're going to get cussed out, get the hell off you're going to get all these different type of conversions when you're doing this, but you got to know that it's a numbers game. Life is a numbers game. If I hear no 100 times, I got one yes coming. One-on-one is going to be yes. So, all right, man, I got to make to 151 is yes. Cool. But all I need is one yes.
That one yes could be 20, 30, 50.
Life-changing money
life-changing
that you
money.
never had in your whole life. Like, before I got into real estate, I've never, ever, ever, ever. When I got in at 21, I think it's like 2021, I'm 28 now. Before 2021, I've probably never had more than like $1,000 at one time.
Right.
Like, no, from that point up to like 20, I was 20, 21 years old. I've never probably had more than like 1,000, 1,500.
Right.
So it's like, I know that for me, if, starting that early and developing where I'm at now, anybody, rather you starting at 20, rather you, like, I got kids 18. I got people as old as 42.
Yeah.
Like trying to get into real estate. So it's like, I know that this is life-changing money. This is money that if you do the right things and you just work and you grind, you can put yourself in a whole
100%
level.
And it's also great to start in wholesaling, right? Because kind of, like what Anthony said, is you're involved from start to finish, right? You're learning the acquisitions, you're learning the dispositions, you're learning to see, through an investor lens. So it really is a great place to start.
Sure.
So you talked about wanting to buy some assets, some properties. What are you looking at? Like, as far as like coming up with your game plan of what you want to buy? There's so many different routes you can go. You can go the Section 8 route. You can go try to buy in A and B neighborhoods and everything in between. What's your strategy look like?
Currently, right now, I'm looking at anything like 6 units and above.
6 units and above.
So 6 units and above. Even a 4-suiter is fine, but I'm looking to start with multiple units. Because don't get me wrong, through the years, I've bought a single family. I've bought a duplex. I've bought these different assets. But me getting like, what is it, antsy. And like, this is not paying me fast enough. Or this is not paying me at a large, how I wanted to pay me.
You want to kill 6 birds with one stone.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Let me sell it. All right, I bought it. Let me sell it.
Yeah.
I'm done with it. I have it for 2-3 months, 4 months, 6 months, and then I'm done with it. So I realized like I don't want to really go that route with acquiring rentals. I want to go large. So if I can acquire 4 units, 6 unit, 10 unit, 20 unit at a time, that's great for me. Like,
you scale quicker.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And everything is in
under one roof.
Under one roof. Like I don't have to drive around Cleveland, west side, east side, back and forth. Like I love Sal to death. I don't know how he do it. I really don't know how he do it. But like he do it. So I mean, he got an amazing team though. So
he definitely has a good team.
But that's really where I want to like focus on, just like buying, bigger.
And there's so many good opportunities. I see so many like nice looking brick 4-unit buildings, right? Two bedrooms each unit, and Section 8 will pay $1,100-1,200 for those units. I mean, one of those properties could make you $5,000-$7,000 a month.
Yeah, for sure.
So those properties are all over Cleveland.
They're all over.
Those distressed brick,
They
like
are.
4-unit.
Go down East 140th.
buildings.
It's a whole street of them.
Right.
They are. Yeah.
Yeah, incredible. So I kind of want to go back to your agent outreach that you do. Like when you're kind of talking to the agents, like how do you sort of are you extremely transparent with them through the entire process? Like, hey, this is kind of what I'm looking to do. I have a network of buyers. Or do you just kind of say, hey, I'm going to lock this up. I may buy it. I may not. What does that look like when you're going into that conversation?
If I was to call an agent right now, my first, my engagement with them is, oh, you're a wholesaler. No, I told you. I do some fix and flips. I do some wholesaling. I buy some rental properties.
Which is true.
Right. You know what I mean? And even if you fresh in the game, you don't have any real estate background, you've never bought a damn fucking piece of candy, you still can use the same format, because eventually that's what you'll become. Like I'm a real big person on like, I speak my life. I really feel like I'm speaking it into life every day. Like how I felt back in 2018 and where I'm at now, I feel that way. Like I feel like I spoke that. Like, this is how much I'm gonna be making. This type of car I'm gonna be driving. This is the type of life I'm gonna be living. Like, and it's a whole nother level. But at the same time, this is what is gonna be going on at this current time. And so I feel is that with anybody, that's how you're supposed to speak. Speak life into yourself. Speak
it into existence.
You know what I'm saying? Like okay, you may not have all the money or all the resources now, but it'll come if you just start. And so with the outreach, the agent outreach part is me explaining like, okay, I'm a real estate investor. I'm looking to fix and flip. I do some wholesaling, and I do some rental properties. So I get that out the way first, so they know like, okay, he's a multitastic kind of guy. Like he's not just putting himself in one spot. And so once we get past that part, then it's kind of like, okay, let's get to the most important thing. You got this property. I see what it's listed for. I can't pay that. This is what I can pay. Yeah. It's cash. It's quick. We can have it done. You can get paid. Seller can get paid. We are good to go. Yeah. And so that's kind of like how I lead that. And we go from the hang up, no, fuck no. Maybe let me talk to the seller. Let me see if I can get her to agree. Like you got a lot of agents who are, they realistic. They understand like, listen, man, you've been on the market for 200 days. Yeah. Nobody buying this shit. Just go ahead and try to talk to you. Get them to understand. Because a lot of times agents will tell me, well, my seller wanted me to list it for this. Well, you know that they shouldn't have listed for that. You know, you're wasting your own time for even listing it at that. Like it's not even point of doing that. Go talk to them, put some sense into their head, and make them understand like, you know, what the situation is. Now I see if it's different if you just posted today. If you just got on the market today, it's a whole different game. Right. But if you 200 days down the line,
100%. I think the problem with a lot of agents around here is they're not investor friendly, right? And they kind of like limit themselves and shoot themselves in the foot, right? And they don't know the lingo. They don't know how to work with investors. And they're so kind of caught up in the traditional like realtor mindset where, you know, if you're an agent and someone like you calls them, right? And hey, we can all get paid off of this. Let's work with them and get this done.
Yeah. And I'm so like, I want everybody to win in a situation. If I know like, let's say if I know I know I can like reassign this contract, 20 grand, 15, whatever the case may be, 30 grand. I will cut some of my fee to get them to like I will pay them out of my fee to get them to get the seller on board. Right, of course. So I'll get them to make more money. Yeah. So you might be only making $2,000 off your commission. I might add another $4 grand to your commission just because you helping me out.
Right. And now that agent's going to bat for you. Now they really want
you got to get creative.
They about to go walk the deed today. Yeah. Like, hey, let's get this done right now. For sure. Just because. For sure. So it's like I'm willing to work with you. Like it's not like I'm telling you, hey, go tell this seller, take this low offer, because that's what they call it, low ball offer. Go tell them to take this low ball offer, and I'm not on your side. No, if you can get them to accept it, let me try to help you make some more money. Yeah. And if I can do that, cool.
And to your point, no, you're not just a wholesaler, right? Yeah. You own a creative real estate company, right? You have creative real estate solutions. So that's awesome.
So I know you don't, so you're doing zero direct to seller marketing at all right now.
Zero. Only time I get direct to seller marketing is if like somebody called me and say, hey, my cousin, my brother, my auntie, my friend, they got this house they're trying to sell. And then I'll talk to the seller.
Gotcha.
But it's strictly no marketing going towards that.
Gotcha. Yeah. So we made a big shift in our business. We were doing a ton of outreach as far as like cold call and SMS goes. And just kind of with the way the regulations and everything are going, we made a big shift. So now we have more of a nationwide approach. We're running a lot of inbound, so a lot of Google and Facebook. So we get a lot of those kinds of leads in. And one of the strategies that we just implemented is novations. And novations are a really cool strategy for the seller that, you know, really wants more of a premium price, but the house is in really good condition, right? So it's a loanable house. It's in a good area. The price is just a little too high. So the novation agreement allows us to list it on the market on their behalf. Have you heard of the strategy at all?
What's so funny is I never understood what a novation is. So I'm actually like learning what this is right now.
Yeah. So it's one of our strategies that we use. And again, the benefit of it is, let's just say someone wants 150 and we have to be at, you know, cash price is probably around 100, but the house is probably worth 200K. So it's a tough lead to work for a cash deal, right? So with the novation, we get the right paperwork signed, and it allows us to list at that 200 on their behalf, and then we're able to novate it to the end buyer, and the seller pays us the fee at the end. Instead of the buyer typically paying the fee as an assignment, the seller's paying us the fee. So It's a really good way. And I was going to say, I'm sure you're not doing it because everything you're dealing with is already on the market. So like for us, when we get a lead that's on the market, if it doesn't work for a cash price, we can't really novate it because it's already on the market. It's got the exposure. Yeah. So it's tough. Oh, wow. But again, if you are doing direct to seller marketing, it's a great strategy to implement. But again, I will say it's more of a higher level strategy. Definitely not something if you've never done a deal and you're just getting into real estate, I would not recommend you do a novation. Just like I'm sure you would say with what you do with your agent outreach, right. It's, I'm sure you can do it if you have the right training and the right mentorship behind it. But if you just kind of jumped right into it, you're going to struggle with the conversations and you're going to struggle big time because those agents are going to be pressing you with different questions and you're not going to know what to say and you're going to fumble and lose the deal. Yeah. You know,
like my mentees call me what should I say? What should I say? What should I say? What should I say? And it's like, well, real estate business in general is like you can have a script from here to there. It's still never going to go that way. It's always, every conversation is different. Every time you talk to a seller, it's going to be a whole different conversation.
And that's why, honestly, that's why having a mentor is so important. Because like you said, you can go on YouTube and you can study all day long, but there's no perfect transaction. No. There's so many in-betweens where it's like, what do I do in this scenario? A lien came up. What do I do? The seller's trying to back out. What do I do? There's so many different scenarios, and you really need someone that has experience to be able to say, hey, this is what you need to do in this situation.
And you got to be like, one thing I learned in my 7-8 years in business, like you got to be able to do things on a swivel. Like you got to be able to maneuver
for sure.
In so many different. Like I just had a wholesale deal a week ago that I just closed. It like when I say it was like this was this close from just vanishing, but me having my creativity juice, I just knew like okay, it's some way we could figure this out. So I had a $20,000 assignment deal that I was getting ready to wrap up, and so. The agreement with the seller was he bought 3 houses. My buyers bought 3 houses. Every house needed to be vacant, every one of them. And so 2 of the 3 houses was vacant, but the one, it was a guy, Army dude, lived in it. And so the agreement was under our purchase agreement, every house is vacant. So the day before closing, of course, the final walkthrough, this dude's still in. So basically he come with a story like, I don't know if I'm going to have to be out, but I mean, I can be out, but it's going to take me 30 days to get out. So my buyer's like, I come up with like, okay, what if we close the 2 houses instead of all 3? Could that work? All right, let me talk and see if that can work. Nah, Zay, we got to close all 3. That's how our loan is going to work. We got to close all 3.
Yeah.
So I'm like, fuck. So I'm like, okay, so I'm just sitting here.
Send the pit bull in.
I'm sitting here thinking. So I'm sitting here thinking, like, I'm like, all right, let's figure this out. So I'm like, all right, I got $20,000 that I'm getting ready to make. Let me see how much I can get this tenant and see what they, So I'm like, at first, I'm like, I called the tenant. I got the tenant number from the owner. I'm like, hey man, I'll give you $1,000 if you could leave by if you can leave by Monday, I'll give you $1,000 because this was like a Thursday, Friday. So I'm like, if you can leave by Monday, I'll give you $1,000. So he was like, I don't know. It might have to take me like an extra week or 2. I'll give you $1,500 if you can leave. Oh, let's go. Let's do it.
Was he out?
He was out. Yeah. So I'm like, $1,500, you'll be out by Monday.
And you paid him after he was out?
I paid him before we closed.
Oh, so wow.
It was
a total gamble.
It was a gamble. Like, cause it was a gamble. So I'm like, I give you $1,500.
But
like,
that's a gamble that's worth it.
I paid out of my pocket $1,500.
Wow.
Like, hey, take this $1,500. And
yeah, man, you got it done. I actually
helped the guy pack up his stuff and move to.
But you know what? That's what we're in the business to do is solve problems.
Exactly.
That's all we're getting paid for is solving big problems, right? And that's such a good story. And this kind of leads me into what I wanted to ask you next. Your biggest deal you've ever done or your favorite deal. I'm sure you have a story. I want to hear one of your stories of whether it's the biggest or just a crazy scenario.
It's funny because it's actually a flip. It's not even a wholesale deal. So it was actually my very first flip I've ever flipped. 4149 East 176th Street. Anybody could look this house up. So this house was, originally I was supposed to wholesale it. So me and my boy Maul, another wholesaler who, doing a lot of deals, but we were going to JV on a deal and wholesale it to one of his buyers. And so something had fell through where the buyer just didn't want to buy it. Now, they were getting a property for like under $20,000. Now, if anybody know that 44128 zip code, that's a pretty good zip code, depending on where you at on the map. So we're like closer towards Warrensville, pushing towards Warrensville, but we're still in Cleveland. So I'm like, 20 grand, it's only gonna cost 20 grand to buy it, acquisition. Rehab, probably gonna cost me like 40. Rehab,
You're in for 60.
Shit, I could sell it for like 130, 140 when I'm done. So I'm like, you know what? I'll do it. So I end up doing the deal. I bought it, closed, had some rehab guys come. I got financed on my rehab. So I didn't even have to come out of pocket on rehab. Financed on my rehab. And that deal was done. So I ended up walking away with like $65,000.
What'd you sell it for?
Deal.
I sold it for 130.
Yeah. And to an end user?
To a home buyer. Yep.
Which, like, there's so many people in the market for that kind of price range, right?
Yeah,
so I always like doing those deals.
Sure. Like, that was my very first ever flip. That's so crazy that I like. And I didn't like I said, even to this day, I hate flipping. That's something that I do not. I'll do it if it's like a home run deal, but it's not something.
It's a construction business is all that is.
Exactly.
You know, wholesaling is marketing and sales. Flipping is you're running a construction business, basically.
I think anything over like 50 grand is kind of what we've, grown to, I guess you could say, is like, then we would we'd look at it as a flip potentially, right? But these deals where you're making 20K on a flip, 25K on a flip, right? One furnace could go bad or one thing could go wrong and now your deal's cut.
Now you out of there.
And even if you're making, like, if we're making 8K on an assignment fee, 8K, or we can make 20K on a flip, we're going to assign that now.
Yeah.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
Without a doubt. I mean, you just run into so much more risk. And again, at the end of the day, if your construction process is not so fine-tuned that you know everything that's going on in this house, one little thing can throw all your numbers off and make it a bad deal. So
going back to the mentorship real quick, I think that's so cool, man, because you're probably helping a lot of people, right? And you spoke earlier, is like you learned a lot through YouTube. I know your parents were entrepreneurial spirited, right? But you probably didn't have that hands-on guidance that you're providing people now. And looking back, if, thinking about your younger self, if you would have had that mentor, if you would have had someone like you, you'd probably find a lot of value in that. So I think that's awesome that you're able to help so many people kind of with your platform and with your knowledge. And so that's awesome.
And I to piggyback off that, I always, and I tell them the same thing. The best thing about it is that, like, I also feel like I'm not like 20 years removed from the game and I'm trying to come back and tell people, hey, this is how you do this. Like, I'm still doing this every day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm still closing deals every day. So it's like, I'm still learning and still growing as well. Like, even though I got 7-8 years in, I'm still learning. So my experience is basically, I'm translating it to, people who just starting out, but they're also getting a real law of like, damn, he just showed me a wholesale did of 40 grand yesterday, a wire that hit his account of, this is how he did it. This is what he did. This is what he did.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
it's like,
exactly.
It give you that, like, your eyes open up like, oh, wow, this is like, it's a real thing. I'm not showing you a check stub from 1999. No,
yeah.
April, what's today? April 27th.
Today,
28th.
April 24th. This is 2 days ago. So it's like, I can feel that, and that's what I like. When I look at other mentors, there's a lot of great ones. But when I look at that and I like study them and pay attention to them, that's what I want to see. Like, I want to see you do something like as of now.
Right.
Don't show me a transaction from 7 years, 8, 10 years ago. I don't really care about that.
Well, also the real estate space was totally different 7-8 years ago, and it's always evolving.
It's
so what
constantly
works
changing.
today probably didn't work 7-8 years ago.
Back then. Exactly. Just like think about like Cleveland. Like, I tell people all the time, like, Cleveland, even when I started, where we are price-wise, we were nowhere near where we were.
Everything's doubled, tripled.
That was 2018, 2017. So it's not that far removed.
Right.
Like, that's 2018. And look at where the price is now. Like, that Buckeye 44120, that was my, like, when I first started, that was my, like, sweet spot. I did so many deals over there. But I'm getting these duplexes for 20 grand, 30 grand, 40 grand. Now they going for 150.
And that's where you sort of kick yourself, right? When you start wholesaling and you got, that 50, you stack up 50, 100 grand. Yeah. And now it's like, if I would have bought some of those properties back then, looking forward to today, it's like, man, my equity would have tripled, doubled on top of the cash flow.
Like 4 of them at one time over there. Like 4. I had 2 on 123rd, 1 on Parkview, and then I forgot where's that next street. But I had 4 over there at one time, and I sold all of them. And I bought them all cheap. I bought them all like under like 20 grand, 25. Like, so I'm like, being, being, so
it's tough. That's the thing about wholesaling. You get used to the fast, quick, big checks, but those can only go so far in 2025. You know,
spend them.
You're gonna spend it.
You can't. What they say, you can't save your way to $1 million. That's not,
for sure.
You're not doing that, especially with the way the economy is.
Yeah.
You got bills. You got to respond. You're not saving your way to really anything. You gotta make that money work.
Yeah,
that's the
rich
best
dad,
way
poor
you're
dad.
going. Yeah, that's the best way you're gonna get there. So it's like, and I'm realizing that it's like, damn, I had $100,000 in my account. Now I'm down to 45,000.
Yeah,
I'm down to 12,000.
Yeah.
How the fuck? It's like 3 months ago.
Yeah.
What the fuck happened to that?
It's crazy.
But, like, I swear, like, that's a real thing that I'll be like, man, this is crazy. But it's the reality of it. And so that's why I'm like trying to just also still always just be a student, not like get in this space of like, okay, well, you're making money and you kind of got an idea of what you're doing. So now it's time to just chill. Like, now I'm on YouTube every day. I'm reading every day. I'm like listening to other people every day.
Yeah.
Checking in on other people
for
like
sure.
every day to like kind of, all right, what he doing? What kind of methods and tricks that he's using to grow his
Yeah, and how can you
his
evolve?
empire? How can I
right?
evolve?
Because you're locked in on this agent outreach, right?
Yeah.
But what else can you do to take it to the next level, right?
Exactly.
So always be a student of the game.
Exactly.
And I always like to ask, what is like your biggest piece of advice to the people listening, or if there's someone out there who wants to get started into real estate and they don't have a bunch of money, what's like your number one piece of advice that you would give?
Man, I'm such like a free flowing dude that like I do whatever that comes in my mind. So my advice, as simple as it is just like, just do it. Like,
jump into it.
It's like I hope Nike don't like be mad at me, but like for real though, like it's serious. Like just do it. Like whatever it is you thinking about doing, just do it. Cause it's like when I got in, I didn't think about it too much. I'm like, man, if I'm about to do this, if whatever happened, happened. And that's like my mindset to this day. Like whatever happens, happen. But I'm gonna just try it. And if it work out for me, great. If it don't, it don't.
Yeah.
But at least I could say I did it. I tried it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I experienced that. Like,
So many people have so many ideas, right?
Yeah.
But they're just ideas, right? And so you put it into action, right? So it sounds simple, but that's a great piece of advice.
Simple as that. Like,
Great piece of advice.
Don't overcomplicate things. Like people overcomplicate. When I explain this wholesale and stuff to people and like the agent outreach, they be like, man, I didn't think it was that easy. Or I didn't think it was that like simple how you just like worded it. But it's like, it's really that simple. All it really takes is you just doing it.
For sure.
And that's where like a lot of us just, believe it or not, we kick people ass because we just like do it.
Right.
We don't sit here and talk about it. We don't sit here and just, oh, Anthony, listen, bro, I'm about to go, this is what I was thinking about doing. And 2 years down the line, hey, Anthony, I'm still thinking about doing. No, you did that shit 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And so it's like,
So true, man. And people do overcomplicate things for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Like it's crazy how much people overstimulate and overthink of an idea versus just getting out there and like, hey, I'm gonna just start with this right here. I got this remote control. All right, let me go find the TV where I can.
Yeah, man.
Let me click to what I wanted to watch.
Yeah.
And then it just go on. But start with the simplest things.
And the sooner you fail, right, the better that is, because then you learn. The sooner you fail, the quicker you learn.
For sure. I got this book that I finished reading. It's called The One Thing by Gary Keller. That's probably the greatest book I ever read. And it really just broke down as simple as that. It's like people got these big goals, but they don't know how to break them down. It's like, all right, I want to go to, or I want to have, I don't know if I want to monetize it or whatever, but I want to go, shit.
Make $100 million.
I want to make $100 million by the end of the year. All right, cool. That show by the end of the year. What's this? It's April now, about to be May. All right, it's May now, but you talking about by the end of the year. That's January. That's, what's that, 8 months from now?
Yep.
8 months from now? All right, cool. That's your 8-month goal. Or what about your 4-month goal? That's your halfway mark. Or what about your 2-month goal? Or what about your month goal? What about your 4-week goal? What about your 2-week goal?
Yeah. And it holds you accountable to get moving.
What about your day goal? Like you got a day goal, a week goal, a month goal, a 6-month goal, a year goal, a 5-year goal, a 10-year goal. But like you worried about 10 years versus day one. You ain't even thought about day one.
Yeah.
You just thinking about, oh yeah, in 10 years I want this, but you ain't even really looked at day one. That's where a lot of people fail because they forget them too. That day one, that week 2, that
for sure,
they forget them goals. They just worry about the long-term goal. And that's
you're guaranteed to fail.
You gonna guarantee you think it like you thinking big, which is great, but it's not reachable because you didn't start.
For sure.
So it's like it's impossible for you to get there.
To see real success, you're gonna fail so many times, right? And maybe you're failing for 10 years, right? So if you keep putting off jumping into it and just doing it, like you say, is like, you know, again, your failure period might be 10 years. So if you start when you're 50, you know what I mean? Just start now, jump into it now. You're going to learn, you're going to make mistakes, but the quicker you start, the sooner you're going to be there, you know?
Like, it's so funny because people see me now, like it's a lot of people that I know, like when I first started wholesaling, like, damn, bro, you have been doing this for a minute. Like, I remember when you first started, like, and you look how fast 5 years go by. I'm almost coming up on 10 years doing it. 8 years, I'm already going into 8 years of it. Be 10 years in 2 years.
Yeah.
So look how fast that time go by. You know what I'm saying? But they remember, like, damn, like my mom, even to this day, my mom used to tell me, like, when I first started, I worked, like I had a job. Like that was my life. Like I knew I was going to figure out a way to make some money, but I figured that I was just going to have a job. I was just going to have a good little job or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Pay some money. But when I stopped working and I went full time into real estate, my mom was like, well, son, I think you should like at least try to get like a part-time job or like something to hold you over to just like until you figure it out. Excuse my language. Fuck that job, mom. I'm not getting a job. This is what I'm doing. Like, this is what I'm doing. I'm not doing nothing else. And so I told her that. And she was like, all right, well, go ahead, do your thing. And 8 years later,
sometimes putting your back up against the wall like that really, you think you wanted to do it before, you quit your job and you say, I'm going all in on this. Now I can't eat unless I do this. So it really makes you do it, right? And
you have to go all in, right? Whatever you're doing is like, I think it's easy to get distracted, right? Like everyone wants to do a million things, right? But if you just focus on that one thing, even if something else looks like, if you're focused, right, and something else pops up, it's like you have to stay focused and go all in on what you believe in, right? And that's where you're going to see true success is if you're just 100% dedicated and focused to that one thing and you go deep into that thing.
The book, I just said, Gary Kelly.
Yep.
That's the one thing. Like I'm sure we do everything. We probably got a lot of different things we do, but what did we like master and like figure out what was our thing? Real estate. Real estate branched off into podcasts. Real estate branched off into all these different things. But it started with real estate.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like when you talk to people, that's why I ask people like, okay, what do you do? Oh yeah, I rap, I play basketball, I flip cars.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a jack of all trades. When somebody tell me a jack of all trades, I stay away from it.
And they might be decent at all those different things,
you're not
right?
100% at it.
No, but you're not going to be great at it.
Yeah. You could be 90, 90, 90, 90, 90, 90, 90. Yeah, that's cool, but you're not 100% at nothing.
Right.
So I'd rather just be 100% at something. And then if I want to branch off and do other things, then I'm okay with doing that because I know that what I'm 100% in, that's what I'm great at.
For sure.
And everything else, like I'm just, I'll dive into it. But
no doubt.
Yeah, for sure.
Without a doubt. So, man, Zay, it was great having you on, bro. It was awesome.
This is awesome, man. Thanks for coming in.
How can the people find you on Instagram, social media?
So my Instagram is Zay got 1,000 doors. That's 1000 doors. And that's really like where you're gonna catch me every day. Like, that's where I'm posting all my content, funny stuff, crazy stuff, all type of stuff.
Beautiful.
Well, follow right now.
Well, they know where to reach out to you, man. So it was incredible talking with you. Your story is amazing, and we look forward to connecting more, getting some deals done, and we'll wrap it up at that. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Please hit that like button, subscribe, and we'll be back with another one soon.